Have you checked out ChevetteReport.com? It's the newest cigar media outlet to keep you in the know with all things cigar lifestyle related. From press releases to reviews, we have it all covered. Be some of our first members to join ChevetteReport.com and be a part of the next step in the cigar culture. ChevetteReport.com.
It's a rare condition this day and age to read any good news on the newspaper page. And love and tradition of the grand design, some people say it's even harder to find. Well, then there must be some magic clue inside these gentle walls. 'Cause all I see is a tower of dreams, real love bursting out of every seam. It's the bigger love of the family.
What is going on? It's Thursday night here at Travelers Rest. It's Chief Talk. What is going on, everybody? It is your boy, Chief, coming at you solo dolo by myself yet again here in studio. Bob the Cigar Guy has abandoned me for a second week in a row. So hopefully you all were here to hang out with me tonight, because you're going to be sad if you came from Bob the Cigar Guy, because, again, Bob the Cigar Guy is nowhere to be found. 2 weeks in a row, he's dipped on us. Hopefully, we will be able to manage the show without Bob the Cigar Guy. Tonight could be a pretty fun one. Tonight is the Cigars on Wall Street. Who's hot for 2026? We're going to play a little interactive. What do you guys think? What do I think? Kind of sort of thing about... I've got 23 companies over here on the on a spreadsheet that we will all look at together tonight to see whether or not we think that this company is gonna do big things in 2026. Are they gonna kind of stay where they were last year, kind of staying on par? On par's not always bad. Or do we think there might be a little dippage in the cigar company for this year? Let me get over here and turn off the music, because I know sometimes it can mess with the microphone. Before we do go any farther, I do want to give a big shout out to our show sponsors, Drew Estate Cigar and Natura Cigar, making sure that Chief Talk is available for you guys every single week. Hopefully you've had a great week. Hopefully you've been able to find some cool cigars, some good cigars, maybe new cigars or cigars that you smoked a long time ago and it's been a while since you've seen it, so you jumped back in it. That's how it was for me this week. I rediscovered my love for the Pappy Van Winkle Family Reserve, that barrel-aged, fermented, Kentucky fire-cured Pappy Van Winkle Perique processed Tapa Negra. I hadn't had that cigar in quite a while, and I smoked one in the last week. So I didn't realize how much I missed that cigar until I smoked that cigar and said, "Wow, I really wish that these were easier to find." So let me know what you've smoked in the last week. If you smoked anything good, if you haven't smoked anything new or anything good in the last week, what are you smoking tonight? I do want to know. Hopefully, your weather is able enough to get out and smoke a cigar and join me for a cigar. I'll go ahead and show you what I'm smoking tonight. I am going with the Arturo Fuente Don Carlos 90 Años Dos Capas. Two wrappers on this cigar, one on top of the other. Arturo Fuente Don Carlos 90 Años. That's what I've got to smoke this evening. A big welcome into the show to Cigar Pop, who said he's finally out of the hospital. I didn't know he was in the hospital. Did I miss something, Cigar Pop? Hopefully you're doing well. Banker John, welcome in. Michael Zakovic, welcome in. Mackie B, Fireborn Charles, Adamson Gary, Zanstra, Matt the Man Brugger, Jay Bates, Miss Diana Burns. Who else we got in here? Rick Carroll. What is going on, brother Rick? And I think I've caught up with everybody who's currently in. Got 13 across both platforms right now. Big shout out to Rick Carroll and Jay Bates for hitting the love button over on Facebook. And also Ron Maggio, Michael Carter, and Mike Ragdashil for the likes over on Facebook. I was having some weird internet connections before the show started, so hopefully we're gonna have an okay show tonight. We don't have too much in the internet connectivity issue. I will have to switch out my battery on my camera at some point tonight, most likely, depending on how far we get into the show this evening. Gary Zanstra says, "Are you planning on any guests on the show this year, Chief?" Yes, I am. And I actually had planned on the whole entire month of February being a cigar spotlight with a brand, and I was going to cap it off. It would have been actually this week would have been either a brand ambassador or owner or somebody from the company. And when they finally got back to me, we were already into the month of February. And I said, ugh, let's table this for maybe March or after PCA. I don't know if I haven't figured out yet whether or not I want to commit to a full brand for the month of March, because March is the lead up month to PCA, where we'll have, I do believe, if I remember correctly, looking at the calendar, I think we will have 2 shows before PCA this year. Let's look at the calendar real quick. So April, yes, we will have 2 shows in April before PCA. So between today, not including today, we will have 6 shows between now and PCA. We will not have, PCA starts on the 17th technically of April. I'll be flying down to New Orleans on the 16th. And so we won't have a Chief Talk that night. Now, don't worry, we will have live shows going on those other days with PCA After Dark. But we do have 6 shows left between now and PCA, which is actually not a lot. We are already on episode 7, and we have missed a week this year so far. So we're actually, this is technically the 8th Thursday of the year, and it has gone by pretty quick since the new graphics and everything have been up for Chief Talk. So it's even shorter of a time between now and PCA. So I probably won't do a brand takeover for the month of March, just because I feel like maybe we can do some cooler stuff than just a single brand leading up to PCA. That's kind of why I had hoped for February to pan out and to work. It just didn't. And that's okay. Man, that stuff happens. People are busy. So hopefully maybe we'll have a guest or 2 or 3 or 6. Maybe we'll do 6 guests in a row. I don't know. I don't think that'll happen, but maybe we can get some guests on before PCA starts. I know that'll probably make Bob the Cigar Guy stop dipping out on Chief Talk. He's actually not dipping out, Chief. He's working. He's on a weird work schedule right now, so he might still technically be at work right now. I'm not sure, or he could be inside twiddling his thumbs doing nothing. I don't know. I am not my father's keeper, but no, we are hopefully going to have somebody or a few somebodies on before the first half of the year is over. I do want to kick around an idea of seeing what a brand takeover for a month looks like. And if that works, maybe do that a couple times a year. I definitely want to have more guests on this year than last year for Chief Talk. I think last year I had 3 Chief Talk guests. We'll see. I do want to get to a point where Chief Talk does start to have more guests on. I think that's going to be not. I don't think it's necessary for growth. But doing the show this way, the growth is kind of stagnated. We're happily hitting the 20 to 26 people per show so far this year, which is nice, which is great. We are so far 6 out of 6 or 6 out of 7 tonight. We're gonna have, it's the 7th night. We're gonna have to make sure we hopefully hit that 20 mark. So if you haven't already over on Facebook, if you've not gone over there, go over to Facebook, hit the like button, hit the share button, and share the stream out to everybody who's watching or who could be watching, who's not currently watching, that should be watching. And if you are over on the YouTubes, do make sure you're hitting the like button. I can't see those numbers, unfortunately. StreamYard has still not partnered with YouTube in a way to be able to see the YouTube reactions. But I do see we got a couple more likes. Rick Jimenez and the Semi Flow over on Facebook. Thank you for hitting that like button. But we sharing is caring, and it does a lot of good for the growth of Chief Talk as a weekly live stream. All right, so Rick Carroll smoking a Pappy Van Winkle with a Dr. Pepper Zero. That's what I'm talking about. Cigar Smoking Arborist, which is Matt Brugger, is smoking an Aventura Blue-Eyed Jack Maduro with Dr. Pepper. Fireborn says, at least there should be a lot less arguing with Bob being out unless Chief starts changing his mind on something. Hey, you never know. That's always a possibility. Eric got the heater going in the garage while smoking a Havana Seed 142. But recently I smoked an Olmec Maduro. That was great. Ooh, Olmec Maduro. Good dang cigar. Sammy Flo, welcome into the show. How are you doing? What are you smoking? I want to know if you're smoking. I know it's pretty cold up there. Bob the Cigar Guy out there crushing it, building them Beamers. Macberg says, I vote for more Bob the Cigar Guy and less guests. If it's necessary so you can finish your cigar. Now, that is true. Whenever I'm here solo, I don't get to finish my cigar nearly as fast as I'd like to. Now, I will say this week, I do not have to run out as fast as I did last week because I had my kids, because my wife was off doing a teacher's conference. She is back and she has the kids. So I'm a free man for the night. So I can stick around a while this week. Supreme Tobacco. Howdy, party people. Sorry I can't be on for long. Out with the fam right now. Well, love to the fam. Hope they're doing great. Glad that you stopped in for us. Rick Jimenez, Trinidad number 3 with Malibu and Diet Coke. Ooh, Rick partying, keeping it lively with the Malibu and Diet Coke. My man. That Trinidad number 3, that's a really good cigar. No married man is ever free, and that's a good thing most of the time. Well, you know what I'm talking about. I am free from the responsibility of having to get my kids home tonight and put them in bed at a normal-ish time. Look, they were, as much as they missed their mommy last week, they were happy that they got to stay up a lot later last Thursday night than normal. Now, all of them did fall asleep in the car before we did get home, so that was kind of fun for me, trying to get them all in the house and waking them up and then becoming grumpy and, all of the normal fun stuff, right? All right, so tonight's show is called Cigars on Wall Street. I wanted to call it Cigars on Wall Street. Let me change around this and then add this there. Ta-da! So tonight's Cigars on Wall Street is, let me do one of these. Let's put that there and this here, and come all the way over here and grab this one and pull it over so we can have this all on the screen. You guys can see it. You guys can see the companies. Now, I've never done this before. So we do have just a few companies on here. Like I said, I think we've got 23 companies tonight that we're going to talk about. How Chief Grumpy? I'm not grumpy. My kids were. So I've got a handful of companies you've probably heard of before. Drew Estate, Natura, obviously our channel partners here for Chief Talk. And then we've got Padron, Archero Fuente, Davidoff, Aganor Salif, Black Label Trading Company, my father, Foundation, AJ Fernandez, Placencia, Aventura, Dumbarton Tobacco and Trust, Room 101, JC Newman, Gurga, Ragbatel, Warped, Hoyt, Nicaragua, Romacraft, Pastania, Camacho, and Oliva. Now, I put Warped on here because I'm wearing a Warped hat, and it would be silly if I didn't put Warped on there because I'm wearing a Warped hat and be like, oh man, I didn't have enough companies to talk about, whether I thought that these were companies who were going to be hot in 2026 or not. Now, we talked about this a couple weeks ago when Bob the Cigar Guy was on the stream. We talked about how what are some predictors, some of the, some companies that may end up on your top 20 list for 2026. Because we'll put out our top 20 list or top 25 as Bob does it. We'll put out our lists. He usually puts his out in December. I do mine, the first or second week of January. I try to get my list out for the top cigar or for the cigars for the previous year. So these are kind of, we already talked about, what are some expectations that you may have for top cigars for next year. So I thought, it'd be kind of fun to do I couldn't figure out like an easier way to make it look like a stocks graph kind of sort of thing where it's like, ooh, it's down here, but it's up here. And I was like, well, then you got to come up with a whole bunch of scenarios. You got to say some companies were down, some companies are up, and red lines and all that kind of stuff. We are going to just do this. I've got an upvote category. As you can see, we got the upvote. I have, upvote, downvote, and then nominal. It just kind of stays the same kind of sort of thing. And we're going to just base this off of, how we as a Chief Talk collective feel about the status or the Dallas 50,000. Don't get me started on Pam bondage. So I thought, obviously it would be smart to do our first two show sponsors. And I just, I went with, Drew Estate first out. And in no way, shape, or form did I rank any of these companies. They're not ranked in any sort of situation. I just want to know what you think. I don't know a lot about, anything that's coming down the pipe. I'm privy to, the press releases that have been coming out. Some of the stuff that I've seen on Instagram or Facebook through stories, through reps or company owners, things like that. And I'm curious to kind of feel around how you guys think. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shrink my screen just a little bit so I can see all of the comments going on. So this is going to be a user participation critical show. I'm going to need you guys to help me out here. So Drew Estate, we'll go ahead and start with Drew Estate here. Do you think Drew Estate's going to go up? Do you think Drew Estate's going to go down? Or do you think Drew Estate's going to stay the same as they did last year? Now, I feel like most of these companies, I kind of have a good idea of what, I feel, but I'm also willing to be, is it based on sales so that's a good question, Mac Bergson. That's actually a fantastic, question. So I would say this is based on optics from a consumer. Every year people look for PCA videos about what's new, what's coming out. Did somebody make a splash at PCA? Do we think somebody, and it also could be just as simple as, well, they didn't really have a good year last year, so there's really no other way for them to go but up. And that's a fair comparison. For Drew Estate, I say up for two reasons. One, because Drew Estate has already put out a couple new H99 cigars. They have Cigars International or JR Cigars box press H99, and then they are also coming out with their event only H99 Feral Pig. So they are already hitting the ground running so far this year. Also, I know Half Wheel, especially on the consensus, noted that Drew Estate last year, for the first time, or was it 2 years in a row, or was it the first time? I can't even remember how they said it. Didn't make the consensus top 25. And so a lot of people said, well, yeah, Drew Estate kind of had a down year. They released, 2-ish cigars. They did the brand new Deadwood Dominicana, which was a big deal for PCA last year. Deadwood Dominicana was everywhere at PCA for Drew Estate. And then towards the end of the year, they released the Nica Rustica Shade. There wasn't like where in years previous you've had just, blowout after blowout after blowout of cigar brands. So, I think for me, I would say Drew Estate is up just on the fact that they just didn't, there wasn't a whole. I turn all of these into. Whoa. Do that, and then text, and then this. Did that do it? Ha! There we go. I don't ever use spreadsheets on anything, so I say Drew Estate is up, just because I think one I think that Drew Estate is up in the sense that Phil. That's what I want. There we go. Oops, don't want gray. I want green. I think Drew Estate is up just because there was a slower, optical kind of looked a little less than in years previous. And so I feel like this year is going to be a big year for them. So I'm going to go up for Drew Estate. Now, Natura, little harder to gauge on this because Natura is a smaller company. Natura partners with us. And I know that a lot of people have never heard of Natura before us and our PCA coverage and then being a sponsor here. I don't have a good bead on whether or not they're releasing anything new at PCA this year. I don't have connections with Natura. So I don't have a yes or no. So because I don't have a yes or no, I'm going to go over here and I'm going to we'll use gray for here we go. For staying the same. Padron. No idea. I threw Padron on here just because I feel like Padron's a great company. A lot of people smoke Padron cigars. I don't smoke a lot of Padron cigars. My boss does. So, I really don't have a Fireborn says, I think Natura will skyrocket after being a Chief Talk sponsor. I hope so. I mean, even outside of Chief Talk sponsorship, like I think, with my involvement with the guys over at Natura, there seem to be pretty nice dudes. But I don't have a lot of connection with those guys. I don't have a lot of conversation with them. And so I don't have like a full on gauge of where I think they're going to go for the year. Matt Berger says Padron, I believe, just holds a steady line. I'm with you there. I think Padron also sits on the stays steady. I don't see Padron really pushing the pushing the edge or the limit with anything that is crazy. I know what the craziest thing that Padron has done in the recent past was their collaboration with Fuente, right? Now, maybe we look like idiots or I look like an idiot because I'm the one who's making the list. I look like an idiot at the end of the year. And, Padron blew it out of the park and Natura blew it out of the park and Drew Estate stayed nominal. You don't know. I hope none of these companies hit the red. I do have some opinions about some of these companies who I think may take a down year, but obviously I want all of these guys to do well. I'd love for them all to do well. Let's see. Rick Jimenez says Drew Estate really pushing too many sweet cigars. Yeah, I mean there's a lot to be said about that. A lot of Deadwood cigars have come out of Drew Estate in the last couple years. New sizes and Vitolas, Cigar Lounge exclusives, a brand new line launch. You had, the Girl with No Name Perfecto at Corona Cigar launch at the Florida Barn Smoker last year. That's definitely something worth of note. So Matt Berger with holding the steady line. Let's see. Jay Bates agrees with Matt. Fireborn says, yeah, Padron stays. Honestly, I think this will be boutique year, and the established brands are going to try and dig into the weather the storm of change. Deadwood is a huge brand. Absolutely. Deadwood was our number one seller at the lounge last year. I, as a I don't not smoke Deadwood, and I don't not smoke acid. Like, I smoke both of them, but I definitely smoke them less than 10%. And honestly, it's probably less than 5%. And that's just because I prefer the more traditional route on cigars. Bob Cigar smokes a lot more of those than I do. I I think because he smokes so many cigars for reviews and things like that, it's nice to change the palate up and not just get so caught up on smoking traditional cigars. Because I think you can burn your palate out doing traditional cigars as well. But Deadwood is a huge brand. So Padron, I'm with you guys. I think Padron stays as a company, kind of toes the line, toes the lane. Arturo Fuente, I will say, as somebody who does not smoke a lot of Arturo Fuente, as somebody who has come into Arturo Fuente in the last 7 months since I've been working at a cigar shop, I know that we got a ton of Arturo Fuente in at the end of the year to sell. And it seems like they have made a huge push to get their product out at the end of 2025. I know that, last year they revealed the black pink. I don't know if they've ever revealed it previous to last year, but I know last year that was a big, this is kind of crazy. Is it going to come? And then Jose Blanco was smoking one in January on Instagram. So maybe this is the year that they push out the black pink, which will be a nice little addition to the rare pink line. I also saw that they're doing, I think, 3 new lines of Purple Rain, or 3 new Vitolas of Purple Rain this year. So just based on optics of, how it is with me, working in a cigar shop, I'm going to, not that this influences sales at all, because it doesn't. I'm going to comfortably put Arturo Fuente in the growing for 2026 slot, which leads us to Davidoff. Now, Davidoff, I'm going to put them also in the growth category. Oh, I keep pressing the wrong button. That's why. Did I not get all of the squares for... Whoops. Let's do this. I must have not. Did it again. Make sure we're text centered. There we go. I'm going to put them also in the growth, just because my talks with people who I know, who know Davidoff well, who work with Davidoff, who are my friends, and because I've already booked my. We've only booked 1 slot for PCA so far for this year, and Davidoff is it because they reached out to us and they invited us to a media soiree. So I'm going to put Davidoff in the gonna have a good year category, just because I have a little bit of a hunch that says, kind of sort of feels like, oh, that's text color. I don't want text color. I want cell color. Here we go. I firmly believe, based off of those conversations, that Davidoff is going to have a green year. Now, Agador Salif, Michael Zakvik. I don't know if you're still in here. I know that you said that you were going to be at a cigar lounge, so I'm not. It's actually kind of sad when he said that, because I was in the middle of messaging him, asking him if he wanted to be a co-host on tonight's show. I was going to send him a link to be a co-host on the show tonight, but he's at a cigar lounge, so I can't send him an invite because I don't want him to not enjoy his time at a cigar lounge. But I did have him in mind as a co-host for tonight's show because Bob the Cigar Guy was not going to be here. I really shouldn't have picked this cigar to smoke as a single show tonight. Fireborn says, Fuente, Tatawahe, Dumbarton all made cigars for the Great Smoke. Those are all companies interested in the common man's events, which tells me they are on the up. Matt Berkson says, say you are friends with Jack Heyer without saying you're friends with Jack Heyer. I'm friends with Jack Heyer and Law Ream. And Law Ream was the one that I was talking to who said that there was going to be some cool things out of the Davidoff portfolio. Now, I don't know if that means Davidoff or companies who are under Davidoff, like Avo and Camacho and Zeno. So I don't know. I'm just going to take it as Davidoff because I did not get an invite to a Camacho party or a Avo party or a Zeno party. So Aganorsa Leaf, I think Aganorsa Leaf, from everything that I've seen, I'm getting tagged in a lot of videos from Fabian. It seems like they're doing a lot of events. I feel like Aganorsa Leaf is a company who's on the rise. I think, obviously they're a company who has supplied tobacco to cigar companies across the world for years. And now they are doing their own thing with their cigars. I guess they've been doing it for a little while, but it does seem to me like Aganorsa is kind of on a up and up generational kind of sort of run right now. So we're going to put Aganorsa Leaf in the growth spot on the chart. Black Label Trading Company. I don't know. I feel like last year they had a really good year. I feel like last year Black Label Trading Company put a lot of stuff out. I know that Black Label Trading Company is adding somebody to their booth this year. I was talking with Bob the Cigar Guy. He thinks he remembers seeing that it was Apostate Cigars. So maybe I'm going to say Black Label stays where they were, on par with where they were last year. I'm not sure whether or not they're going to go up or down or stay the same. So the safe bet is to stay the same. What's up, Hunter Odds? How you doing this evening? What are you smoking? What are you drinking? Also, I don't know if I mentioned it at the top of the show, but obviously I'm drinking a little Dr. Pepper. I'm going to have to get another Dr. Pepper at some point because that one is almost gone. Also, Keith B. Miser, thank you for Meisner. Thank you for hitting the like button over on Facebook. Again, if you have not gone over and hit the like button on either Facebook or YouTube, do make sure you go over, share a little bit of the love. If you're on Facebook, hit the like button, subscribe. You should be subscribed. If you want to ring the alert bell so that you get notified every time that we're live, that's awesome. If not, I understand. Notifications are a dime a dozen these days on cellular devices. And if you are over on the Facebookie, we do have two people who are over on Facebook right now. Do hit the like button. Do share this you don't have to share it to your personal feed, which is okay, because who wants to share my ugly mug to your personal feed? But if you are in cigar group pages, share this to your cigar group pages. The Drew Estate Facebook group, the Natura Facebook group. I don't know if they have one or not. Smoke In or Cigars Daily or whatever. Share it just to let the people know, hey, this is where you need to be. Eric, thank you for hitting the like button over on Facebook as well. I really appreciate that. All right, so we just did Black Label Trading Company. My father is Bob the Cigar Guy. My Father Cigars. I think this is going to maybe be the cigar brand that I might do a downvote in, just because the My Father Blue was such a good cigar and such a big hit. I think it's going to be next to impossible to follow up with the success that cigar had in cigar humidors and cigar reviewers and palettes and things like that. J Bates says it's a pretty ugly mug. When your mom lost you, the milk company wouldn't even put your face on the carton. Thank you, J Bates. Matt Berger says fall off after the blue, and to me it's more of a compliment than it is anything else, in the sense that it's such a good. The My Father Blue is such a good cigar, and I took the cigar humidors in people's palates by storm so much last year. I just think it's going to be hard to follow that up. You know, I can't remember. I can't remember the last time my father put something out. Let me get that off of the screen. I forgot that I didn't take that off. I can't remember the last time my father put something out that I was like, wow, that's good. I actually honestly can't remember the last time my father put something out. No, that's wrong, because they put out that Don Pepin Garcia cigar. It was a new blend of the Don Pepin Garcia they put out. That was pretty good. But I think because the blue was so darn good, I think it's going to be hard to follow that success for a company that, in my opinion, hasn't had a cigar that's good. What's going on, Tom Fisher? How are you doing, man? Hopefully you are doing well. Fireborn says, I thought the My Father Blue was the first out of a new factory for them. If so, I think they will keep bringing new hits, and they may. That is very possible. Again, this is not a slight to my father. I'm not taking a personal dig at my father at all. I wonder if they're going to be able to keep up with success and relevancy as a brand in the sense of what's new to come out for the year. I think my father will continue to be a very successful company in 2026. That's not what we're gauging here. We are gauging, in comparison to last year, how do we think that they're going to do? Foundation cigar, man, this is one that I struggle with as well. I don't see them coming out with a cigar this year that was better than the 10th that they came out with last year. Obviously, I don't think they're going to come out with an 11th. I know Room 101 does that. They do one every single year. I don't see them doing more this year than they did last year. So I am more inclined to put them in the stays the same category. I love Foundation. I just don't see another cigar. And it's kind of crazy because Foundation has year after year put out banger cigars, and they end up being in my top 3 cigars every single year. They've taken the number 1 spot multiple times. It's always a battle between Nick Melillo and Steve Saka. But so when the Senator, or Senator, however you pronounce it, came out, that was a fantastic cigar. What a wonderful cigar. And then they came out with the Night Commander, and I do not still like the Night Commander. I just walked over a grave. Sorry, I get a little wriggly. I was not a fan of the Night Commander. Now there were other cigars that came out, that same year that were good, but I just think, at some point, these guys are going to have an off year, right? At some point, they're going to, lay an egg somewhere, or maybe it's just a single one. Maybe Nicholas Melillo doesn't lay an egg this year. I don't know. I'm happy to be wrong in a lot of these. So I don't think Nick goes down, but I do think Nick stays the same. So I'm gonna put Nick in the stays the same spot. I'm gonna keep him here, where just like these Black Label, I'm putting stays the same just because I'm not sure what they're gonna put out. They had a really big year last year. Maybe they're doing something with Apostate, and maybe Apostate does something big this year. Padron's more of just kind of an unknown thing. And Natura, the same thing as well. When it comes to Drew Estate, last year, we didn't cover the booth last year at Drew Estate in a sense of like blend wise. We covered the experience of the Liga, Tour de Liga aspect, which was fun. It was a lot of fun, but in the sense of like them bringing something new to the trade show. Like we didn't do a Dominicana interview last year. So I think with Drew Estates, you can really only go up for this year. That's why I had them in green. Fuente, that's kind of based off of what I've seen. Davidoff is based on what I've heard. Aganorsa, I really feel like Aganorsa is just in their stride right now. Fireborn says, I agree that success is always hard to follow up, and it is. It's hard to put out banger after banger after banger, right? One of the hardest things to do in sports is to repeat a championship. It's one of the hardest things to do. Tom Fisher, thanks for the like over on Facebook. Rick says, Foundation up, heading to a Foundation event next week at Cigar International. Woo. Eric says, I'm a fanboy, so I'm praying for another banger. So he's staying up. And honestly, I hope all of these, like I said at the beginning, I hope that all of these companies do really well. I hope this is like the most successful year for cigars in the world. I hope that this is a year where I got a hair that keeps like dangling right on my peripheral of my vision over here. I hope this is a year where the cigar industry just blows it out of the water. AJ Fernandez. I think this is going to be another down one. Honestly, I was kind of disappointed with AJ Fernandez's booth last year at PCA. But I also wasn't disappointed because a month and a half previous to PCA, they lost, half of their factory to a fire. And so it's like, well, what do you expect out of a company who just lost their factory? Fireborn, I'm not bad mouthing AJ. I think AJ makes some really good cigars. I think the AJ Decenio was a fantastic cigar from last year. AJ's due for some bangers. I think, the last AJ Fernandez cigar that I thought was an absolute banger that did so well was the New World Dorado. I love that cigar. That's a really good cigar. Even to this day, I still smoke that cigar pretty often. I think AJ's due for a banger year. I think AJ Fernandez is up for an opportunity to shock people and say, "Hey, this is what we've been able to do since the rebuilding of the factory." But I feel like there just wasn't a lot out of AJ last year to get me hyped up for this year. So we'll see. Again, I hope I'm wrong. I hope AJ does fantastic this year. AJ's a company that we got to be with at PCA last year, and hopefully this year we're going to be able to be with them again at PCA. And hopefully they come up with a whole bunch of stuff, and we look back at this list at after PCA. I'm going to save this list, and we'll come back and laugh at myself like I'm an idiot. Eric says, I truly hope Drew Estate comes back swinging. Then with the announcement of JD's new company, just hails in greatness. And that's exciting news coming out of Drew Estate with the JD San and Son. I really hope that this year, Drew Estate is the talk of the town at the show. I would love for them to have, 10 new things at PCA this year that people are raving about. But, we'll see. Fireborn says AJ is my favorite Nicaraguan blender, and Fuente is my favorite Dominican blender. What's going on, John Ryan? How you doing, brother? So next is Plasencia. I think Plasencia is going to hold. Plasencia last year had the Alma de Cielo, and I think Plasencia knocked it out of the park with that cigar. I think it was a really good cigar. Now, when it comes to like, well, what's the difference between Plasencia and my father? I think Plasencia is a company who has enough tobacco and prowess, and I think of, tiers in the cigar industry. In my experience, I feel like Plasencia is farther up the ladder than my father. Not that my father's at the bottom of the ladder. I think my father is very high up the ladder as well. But I think Plasencia is able to sustain the success that they had from last year. Let's see. Same Flow says, I think EP Carrillo is going to come out with some bangers. I hope so. Plasencia is booming right now, in the sense of what out of Plasencia, other than what do you classify as booming? Like, are you taking, like, is it the Alma de Cielo? Because that is a cigar that's doing really well. I put them in the sense of maybe they're not able to recreate the success they had in 2025 that they had or recreate the success in 2026 that they had in 2025. But I think that they can maintain it, where off of my personal feelings and dealings with companies, I feel my father isn't going to be able to stand up to that hype. I feel like Plasencia puts out a banger every year. My father, I don't think, puts out a banger every year. And that's why I feel the way that I do about the two ways that these companies are. I think Plasencia maintains. I think it's going to be hard for my father to keep up with what they did with the My Father Blue. Matt Berger says, I think they are in the same place and holding a steady course. Fireborn, I just have a sense that Plasencia was on almost everyone's top list last year. Again, same for my father. The My Father Blue was up there with everybody's list for the most part as well. I just think Plasencia holds the hype that they had in 2025 into 2026, where I don't think my father does it. Aventura is a company that I hope. Aventura is a company that I'm hoping does well. We talked about this a couple weeks ago on the show when Bob the Cigar Guy was here, that I really feel like this is a year that Aventura has really got to hit it. And that's just based on optics, right? I don't know anything that's going on in Aventura's offices. I don't know, if I remember correctly, they put a cigar in a multi-pack for 2025's PCA that is going to be a 2026 release as like a teaser. Not that Dumbarton Tobacco and Trust meant to do it, but that's what they did with the Deep Cuts sampler. Dumbarton Tobacco and Trust released a Deep Cut sampler. And in the Deep Cut sampler was the Word of Saka. And that was the only way that you could get the Word of Saka this year, because it ended up, or last year, it ended up not being put out into the market in its own boxes. Unfortunately. And so it's coming out this year. So Aventura is a company I hope does well. I think Aventura has to hit it hard this year in order to stay relevant. So that's, I really hope that for them. So I'm going to put them as basically a sympathetic, I am willing this into existence for them green. Hopefully they do well. So Matt Berger says, really hope they skyrocket. They did stop their YouTube updates. Part of that is I don't think we're going to hit 20 tonight. We hit 19. I know we were at 19. We may have hit 20 at some point tonight, but because I'm having to go back and forth because of our internet situation, my iPad is not wanting to connect to my computer as normal. And so normally I would have 2 screens running right now, and I can't watch the stream numbers as I have it to where I can see the comments. I just can't see the stream. So I know we hit 19. I don't know if we have 20 yet. But we are not trending in the right direction right now. We are slowly dropping in numbers, which I thought this was going to be more fun of a show. I thought this would hold people, but I guess not. And that kind of leans into the Aventura, Puffery podcast. It's hard to get views on YouTube, man. It's hard in the cigar industry to, especially if you're not bringing on guests. That's one of the reasons why I'm looking to change the tune of Chief Talk this year into a show that brings on more guests. Is we need viewers in order to make our sponsors feel happy about what they're paying money for. We need to be able to report back. Yeah, we crushed it last year, and every episode except for one was over 20 concurrent viewers at one time. I need not to have that fall back. And unfortunately, Bob Cigar Guy can't help the situation. He got the new job, and the new job makes him a very specialized employee at BMW. And that means that Bob the Cigar Guy can't always be here on the stream, which kind of sucks. So something's going to have to change. But hopefully, Aventura is able to do well this year. I really hope that for them, because I think that they need it. I think they need a year that says, yeah, we're gonna kick the doors down. Dumbarton Tobacco and Trust, I'm gonna put in the green. The biggest reason for putting them in the green this year is because there was a lot of hype last year about the Word of Saka, which is the 10-year anniversary, or the 10th Jubilee, not the Word of Saka, sorry. The 10th Jubilee was supposed to come out, and thanks, Eric. I appreciate that. And I feel like, that's the case for most people here, is they come to hang out and be here with Chief and Bob the Cigar Guy. But, I cannot deny the numbers. So far, the highest number I've seen tonight, and I don't want to harp on this too. I don't want to talk about this too long because it's just kind of depressing. The highest number I've seen tonight is 19 people watching, which is a great number. I love them. 3 years ago to have 19 people watching at the same time was amazing. Would be amazing. Would have been amazing, should I say. And, I would love, to say that, viewers aren't, always dependent on, Bob the Cigar Guy being here. But that's also a part of, the Chief Talk, DNA here. And so, we do what we do, and we have fun, and, we're going to keep on pushing on. So, all right. So Dumbarton Tobacco and Trust, I'm putting the X there because the 10th Jubilee is coming out this year. That was supposed to come out last year. Who else knows what's going on? I know that he just released he released an exclusive for what is it? Cigars Daily. He just did one for Smoke In with the Great Smoke that's coming up here soon. Also, it's Dumbarton Tobacco and Trust. Saka just can't miss right now. Thanks, Fireborn. I appreciate that, man. Yeah, I know I said it earlier about eventually Nick Melillo, maybe he'll lay an egg. I just, for whatever reason with Dumbarton Tobacco Trust, I feel like that's like if you were going to buy a for sure stock, like I'm buying Dumbarton Tobacco and Trust every single time. Room 101 is one that I I think is trending the wrong way of how I would love to see them trend. There was a press release last month, I think it was, that got put out on Half Wheel. That there was some restructuring within Scandinavian Tobacco Group, General Cigar, and Forged. And in that, Room 101 got shuffled around. And also in that, Room 101 lost. It looks like they're losing the Farce brand. If I read the press release correctly, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to come over here onto another browser. I'm going to go over to Half Wheel so that I'm not, telling stories out of school. Let's see. Just type in Room 101, sort by date. Yeah. STG shuffles portfolio. So let's see. Scandinavian Tobacco Group is making changes to its 2 U.S. sales division. Most notably, the non-Cuban Cohiba brand will now be sold by Forged, which has been sold by General. STG is swapping 5 brands between the 2 sales divisions. So General is now going to have Partagas and Room 101, which were originally under Forged. And then Forged is grabbing Cohiba Punch and Havana Honeys. As a part of the changes, SCG has announced that it has removed certain brands from the price lists. And that is Room 101 Farce was taken off of the price list. So there's 4 different Farce blends, I believe. And so, Room 101 had a pretty dope year last year, with, the big humidor and their 15th anniversary. But with that news coming out of Half Wheel, for me, it just makes it hard to think that Room 101 is going to be able to do better than they did last year. Maybe that's good news from Room 101. But I'm with you, Matt Brugger. I think, unfortunately, you have to go down with Room 101 just based off of that information. Fireborn says the Room 101 payback is delicioso. All right, we're going to take a little bit of a break here. I'm going to play some intermissions because I have got to change out the battery in my camera before it completely dies. So I'm going to relight this cigar, and I'm going to play a commercial or two, and we'll be back hopefully with a much better battery. See you, Mark Carter.
Have you checked out ChevetteReport.com? It's the newest cigar media outlet to keep you in the know with all things cigar lifestyle related. From press releases to reviews, we have it all covered. Be some of our first members to join ChevetteReport.com and be a part of the next step in the cigar culture. ChevetteReport.com.
And we're back. Not too bad. Got to use an intermission video that I haven't used in quite a while. So this battery is not as charged as I would like it to be either, but it should last us for at least another 30 minutes or so. Hopefully. We'll see. All right. So JC Newman. I think JC Newman's going to stay where they were. I'm not really seeing much out of JC Newman to encourage me to think that they're going to have a really big year this year. I think that they're finally launching the Sarzetas, which is I don't know if it's sweet tip or infused or what. But I just feel like JC Newman's kind of on roll to stay where they were. The same, I think, can be said about Gurkha. Gurkha really didn't impress me last year with anything that was like, wow, that's incredible and impressive. It's kind of, I don't know, maybe I could put him in the green just because I feel like there's, not much, I don't think they could go lower. And that's why I don't have him in the red, just because I don't think that they had a super impressive year last year. So I'm gonna put him in the gray. Rocky Patel. I feel like Rocky Patel can only go up. So I know you're all expecting me to put Rocky Patel directly in red, but I think green is the better choice, because hopefully they make a good cigar. So Warped Cigars, I'm gonna put them in up, because I know that they are they're looking to possibly release a new Isla del Cocodrillo, a Connecticut version of it. They just posted on Instagram today that they had something, a new blend for the Isla del Crocodillo, Cocodrillo. Sorry. So I think Warped is on a scale for up. Hoya de Nicaragua, kind of a weird spot to be, to kind of guess or to think about, just because aside from like working at a cigar shop and having the re-release of the Cuatro Cinco, the barrel version of it. Fireborn says, Chief, if Rocky Patel made a good cigar, would you even know? It's kind of like, does a bear poop in the woods kind of sort of thing. I don't know. So I'm going to put Warped in the green. I also didn't get into Warped until the close to the tail end of the year last year anyways. So I don't even know if they were at PCA last year. So I think this could be a good year for them. So Hoya de Nicaragua, I'm going to put Hoya in the stays the same category. There's a chance that they could go down, because they are no longer being distributed in the U.S. by Drew Estate as they had been for years previous. So I don't know. Maybe they do go down because they don't have that Drew Estate exposure like they used to. Roma Craft. I don't know. I'm going to put Roma probably at the stays the same as well. Just because I'm not aware of what's coming out for anything in Roma Craft. I've not heard any mumblings or grumblings. I love Roma Craft. You guys know that Roma Craft is one of my favorite brands. I love Roma Craft to death. I really enjoy Roma Craft a lot. Um, so yeah, my hope is that Roma Craft blows it completely out of the water this year, and absolutely, does an incredible job at releasing blends, and does again, just hopefully does a fantastic job of putting cigars on the market. But I really don't know. I really don't have a I don't know. Pastania, I think, is green. I think with the new War Bear, the new size in the San Andreas, I think, and we were talking about this a couple weeks ago on the show. I think this could be a humongous year for Pastania for their company. I think if Pastania really, really hits this year and hits a cigar that ends up on top lists again, I think Pastania could set themselves up for an easy 5 years. And I think if they hit it hard within those 5 years, I think Pastania could absolutely, start to show up on shelves like Dumbarton Tobacco and Trust, like Foundation Cigars, like Black Label Trading Company. I I think Pastania could. I think so far on this list, they're I'm pretty confident in most of these greens, but I am like Pastania. I am super high on Pastania, super high on Dumbarton Tobacco and Trust, super high on Drew Estate. I think those are companies that are absolutely going to knock it out of the park this year. All these other companies over here, and we talked about, with Aventura, that's kind of a hope and a prayer kind of sort of thing. We really hope they do well. I really hope that Warp does well as well. I don't want Room 101, AJ Fernandez, or my father to go down, but for my father, especially for my father, I think it's just because he had such a good year last year, that it's really going to be hard to beat. Camacho, I think Camacho is going to stay the same. Camacho put out a dope cigar last year, with their the 2025 series. I think it was a really good cigar. I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know what they're going to do to match that or to beat it this year. I also think Camacho is too big to fail. I don't think they had a cigar that was so incredible last year that it's going to be, it's impossible to make it up to that. Again, going back to like the My Father red here, I just think the My Father blue was so good, it's going to be hard to live up to that name. And then Oliva, Oliva is kind of one of those companies that I feel like Rocky Patel, Gurkha, Padron, that just kind of goes off of their name. They're a staple household brand. They've been a brand for such a long time. Everybody knows who they are. And for me, that kind of frustrates me when it comes to the cigar culture, because I want the cigar culture to be such a dope, awesome experience. But I just don't feel like Oliva really leans into it as much as they could. Oliva did something cool last year by procuring Leffen Loms. So maybe something through Leffen Loms helps, put them up. Law Ream is now Camacho now. He's not Zeno anymore. So yeah, that's my list. That's my buys, my sells, and my holds. I think, all these companies here, I think if it was like a true stock market kind of sort of thing, I think Drew Estate is definitely your safest bet, because I feel like Drew Estate lost last year in the sense of they didn't come out. I mean, obviously they did good. They did a great job by, selling a ton of cigars. They're going to do that. This is about the hype around what they're going to do in the culture this year with cigars, not events, not things like that. I know there are people who might listen back to this and be like, I can't believe that you thought Drew Estate didn't do good last year. It's not about them doing good per se. It's about the optics in a sense. They didn't release a whole lot new last year. This year, I think they're going to release a whole lot. So I think last year their stocks went down. And so now it's the perfect buy the dip, baby, buy the dip. Because I think this year's going to be a huge year for Drew Estate. One that I think will make you a little bit of money, but not a lot of money, would be Dumbarton Tobacco and Trust. I think Dumbarton Tobacco and Trust is kind of that, buying like Apple or buying gold kind of sort of thing. Like it's just a pretty steady, even, you make a little bit of money over time, but, another big one, again, is Pastania. I think because they're a smaller company who really hit it hard last year and made it onto a bunch of lists. I think there's a lot of hype behind it. If you jump on it right now and they do blow it out of the water at PCA, you're going to look like you are a genius, at the end of 2026. So that's my stocks and bonds here at, let's see, Cigar Stonks 2026 prediction. So we will save this so that we can come back to this either after PCA or at the end of the year, and we will see whether I was right or I was wrong or what. So let's take that off. Let's come over to this format and then change to this background and take this off of the screen share. So yeah, that's my my opinions. I feel like for the most part, the chat, we were all tracking around the same ideas. Sammy Flo says, I hope Drew Estate does something big. They are celebrating 30 years. Correct. I think that this year is supposed to be celebrating 30 years. Who knows? Steve Saka he celebrated 10 years last year, but his 10-year cigar is not coming out till this year. So Drew Estate maybe they're taking this year to warm up for next year. Who knows? I wish I did. Darn. I thought we were going to get 20. And we may have. There's a chance. I wish I could go back and see the stats of like how many people. The highest I saw was 19. But we're sitting at, we're going back and forth between 10 and 9 right now. So come to Chief Talk for all your financial needs and advice. No, don't do that. Be cool to see if you change your mind on some after PCA. Again, my hope, Rick, is that after PCA, every single one of these companies is in the green. I hope every single one. I hope Natura, Padron, Black Label, My Father Foundation, AJ Fernandez, Placencia, Room 101, JC Newman, Gurkha, Hoya, Roma Craft, Camacho, and Oliva. I hope those are all green. And I hope Drew Estate, Arturo Fuente, Davidoff, Aganorsa, Aventura, Dumbarton, Rock Patel, Warped, and Pastania are all green as well. I hope they're 100% across the board green. I hope all of them stay that way. How likely is that? I don't know. Probably not very likely. But hopefully, we'll be able to say, hey, Chief, you were such an idiot. I can't believe you didn't say all of those were going to be green. And I will say, you know what? Maybe I was an idiot. So, we'll see. We shall see. Hopefully, we can all look back and laugh at Chief and say, ha, 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 ha. Check it at the end of the year so we can see what everyone does throughout the year. Yeah, we're going to, as long as we remember at the end of the year, definitely going to try to remember to do it right after PCA. Definitely going to try to do it, at the end of the year if we can remember. And, see if Chief was right about anything. Fireborn says, have Bob fill in his own and then see who's closest at the end of the year. And the loser gets punked. No way. No way, Jose. So yeah, that's what I had for the show. Let me see. Let me call Bob the Cigar Guy. Let me see what he's doing. Let you guys listen in. You guys hear that? There you go.
Hello.
Hey, what are you doing?
Working.
All right. So you're live on stream right now.
Hey, everybody.
So we're doing Cigar Stocks 2026 prediction. So I came up with 23 companies that we predicted whether they're going to go up this year, go down from last year, or stay the same. So okay. I'm going to rattle these off, and I'm going to see if you agree with me or not.
Okay.
So Drew Estate, up, down, or same?
Up.
Natura, up, down, or same?
Down.
Okay. Padron, up, down, or same?
Same.
Archero Fuente.
Up.
Davidoff.
Up.
Aganor Salif.
Same.
Black Label Trading Company.
Same.
My Father Cigars.
Up.
Oh. Foundation Cigars.
Up.
Oh. AJ Fernandez.
Same.
Placencia.
Down.
Adventura.
Up.
Dunbarton.
No, same.
Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust.
Up.
Room 101.
Up.
JC Newman.
Same.
Gurkha.
Same.
Rocky Patel.
Same.
Warped Cigars.
Up.
Joya de Nicaragua.
They separated from Drew Estate last year, right?
This year it's just distribution, yeah.
Right, but they down.
Okay. Roma Craft.
Down.
Pastania.
Up.
Camacho.
Same.
And Oliva.
Same.
Okay. We weren't too terribly off. But I had a few more downs than you did. So
it's hard to I'm sitting here building the most amazing car in the whole wide world, and so it's hard for me to pay 100% attention and give it the attention it deserves. I'm so glad you called me because I missed Chief Talk last week and I'm missing it this week, and luckily I'll be able to see your smiling face and the smiling faces of everybody next week because I'm not chasing cars at 15 hours a day. So I'm looking forward to it. Thank you for including me.
You're welcome.
Be interesting to see what it does.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So that's Bob the Cigar Guy's opinion. So, we weren't too terribly off from one another. He was more sames than I was. He was also more ups than I was. I think he only had 2 down. I think Natura was down for him, and Roma Craft was down for him. So interesting. Now, obviously, his mind may have changed, or my mind may have changed had we been in the same room talking at the same time, trying to convince one another about our opinions. I don't want to call this one a for sure didn't hit 20, because I did catch it at 19, and I caught it at 19 after I had been off the screen for a while. So there's a chance that tonight we did hit over 20. So I'm not willing to concede that we didn't hit 20 this week. But what I'm going to do is this, unless we hit 20 in the next couple minutes. I will count tonight as 20 if next week we hit 30. So you do have your work cut out for you next week. We have our work cut out for us next week to make sure that we have 20 or 30 viewers across both platforms next week. Hopefully we're able to hit that number, rescue ourselves. If we don't hit 30 next week, I will count this as not having made 20 viewers this week. So make sure you're here next week. We are going to end the show. Bobby is back. We will hit 40. I might try to see if I can get somebody on the show. I did not pull out a stick pick of the week this week. I ended up not getting over here nearly as early as I normally do on a Thursday, so I had no time to pick out a stick pick of the week this week. But I do appreciate you all for hanging out tonight. I really do appreciate everybody who does take out the time to make sure we have a good show. Tonight was fun. I think that was the first time we've ever done something like that before. It'll be fun to run it back and see, what the results were. I do appreciate you all for hanging out with me. Hopefully you have a good week. Smoke something good. Drink something good. Again, thank you to our show sponsors, Drew Estate Cigar, Natura Cigar, making sure the Chief Talk is available for you every single Thursday that we are able to make a Thursday. Love y'all. Thanks for hanging out. Catch you next time.
Have you checked out ChevetteReport.com? It's the newest cigar media outlet to keep you in the know with all things cigar lifestyle related. From press releases to reviews, we have it all covered. Be some of our first members to join ChevetteReport.com and be a part of the next step in the cigar culture. ChevetteReport.com.
Time to relax. Whew. Man, I'm beat. Whew. What are you doing? What are you doing here? Show's over. Go home. Go home. Show's over. What are you waiting for? You waiting for another show? This is a one-ticket entry. Go. Bye. Go.